Dante Kim ruled Seoul's underworld with an iron fist, but the moment that soaked waitress slid into his Mercedes, his carefully built empire started crumbling. She didn't know the man offering her a ride had just left 3 men bleeding in a warehouse, and he didn't know she was about to become the one weakness his enemies would exploit to bring him to his knees. The black Mercedes sliced through the rain-soaked streets like a predator stalking prey. Inside, Dante Kim's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel as sirens wailed somewhere in the distance. Blood spattered his collar, not his own. He'd just walked away from a deal gone wrong, 3 men left breathing, but broken in a warehouse across town. But right now, none of that mattered. Because standing at a bus stop, drenched and shivering, was a woman who would unravel everything he'd built. He shouldn't stop. Never stop. That was the first rule of survival in his world. But something about the way she hugged herself against the rain, her afro flattened by the downpour, her work uniform clinging to her frame, it reminded him of his mother, years ago, waiting in storms that never seemed to end. The car glided to a halt beside her. She looked up, eyes wide with suspicion and exhaustion. Dark skin glistening with rainwater, features that spoke of 2 worlds colliding, African and Korean, beautiful and weary. "Get in," Dante said through the cracked window. His voice carried command, the kind that made grown men comply without question. She stepped back. "I don't know you. And you'll catch pneumonia standing there. I'm not asking twice." For a long moment, she studied him. Then, whether from desperation or some instinct she couldn't name, she opened the door and slipped inside. The warmth hit her immediately. She exhaled, trembling, water pooling at her feet on the leather floor mat. "Thank you," she whispered, not meeting his eyes. Dante pulled back into traffic, windshield wipers battling the storm. "Where to?" "Hyundai. Near the university." Her accent carried traces of Seoul mixed with something else, something that spoke of distances traveled. "If it's not too much trouble." "No trouble." Silence stretched between them, punctuated only by the rhythm of rain against glass. Dante glanced sideways. She was younger than he'd thought, maybe 25. A name tag on her uniform read Maya Server. "Long shift?" he asked, surprising himself. He didn't do small talk. Didn't need connections, didn't want them. Connections were liabilities. 14 hours, she said, finally looking at him. Her eyes were striking light brown, almost amber, holding stories he'd never know. Double because Sujin called in sick. Again. "That's illegal." She laughed, bitter and tired. "Tell that to my boss. He knows I need the money. Knows I can't complain." Something in her voice resonated with him, an echo of every powerless moment he'd ever experienced before he became the power itself. Before he became the man people feared to refuse. "What's your name?" he asked. "Maya. Maya Osei. Korean mother? Father. Mother's from Ghana. Met in university, fell in love, thought they could make it work." She stared out the window. "They were wrong, but they gave me life first. So there's that." Dante navigated through flooded streets, taking the long route without conscious decision. He should drop her off and disappear. Forget her face, her voice, the way she held herself like someone used to standing alone. If you're enjoying this story so far, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. "And you?" Maya turned toward him. "What do you do?" "Import-export," he lied smoothly. It wasn't entirely false. He imported loyalty and exported consequences. "Must pay well." She gestured at the car's interior, leather seats, dashboard that looked like a spaceship control panel. "It has its moments." "Are those moments worth it?" "The stress, the late nights." She wasn't prying, just asking, the way someone asks when they genuinely wonder about paths not taken. Dante considered the question. Worth it? He'd built an empire from nothing, commanded respect through fear, accumulated wealth that could last 3 lifetimes. He owned nightclubs, ran underground networks, held the city's pulse in his palm. But he ate dinner alone. Slept with one eye open. Trusted no one. "I don't know anymore," he admitted. the truth surprising them both. They drove past Hongang River, swollen with rain, its surface dancing with a million liquid diamonds under streetlights. Maya pressed her hand against the window like a child. "I love the rain," she said softly. "Everyone runs from it, curses it. But I think it's beautiful. The way it washes things clean, gives them another chance. Some stains don't wash out." She turned to him, really looked at him for the first time. Saw the scar above his left eyebrow, the hardness in his jaw, the exhaustion behind his controlled exterior. "Maybe," she said. "But that doesn't mean we stop trying." The GPS announced they were approaching her destination. Dante felt an unfamiliar reluctance. "This is it," Maya said as they pulled up to a narrow building wedged between a convenience store and a noribang. "5th floor, no elevator." Sounds challenging. Builds character. Or so I tell myself when I'm carrying groceries. She unbuckled her seatbelt but didn't move to leave. "Thank you. Really. You didn't have to stop." "I know. Why did you?" Dante met her gaze. "I don't know that either." She smiled then, genuine and warm, transforming her tired features into something that made his chest tighten. Before he could process the feeling, she was opening the door. "Wait," he heard himself say. He shrugged off his jacket, Armani, custom-tailored, worth more than she probably made in 3 months. "Take this. You're soaked through." "I can't." "You can. And you will." Command again, softer this time. Maya accepted the jacket, drowning in its size, breathing in the scent of expensive cologne and something else, something dangerous she couldn't name. "How will I return it?" Dante pulled out his phone. "Your number." She hesitated, then recited the digits. He texted her immediately so she'd have his. "Good night, Maya Ose." "Good night." She realized she didn't know his name. "Dante." "Good night, Dante." He watched her disappear into the building, jacket wrapped around her like armor, before driving away. His phone buzzed, incoming call from J1, his second in command. "We have a problem," J1 said without preamble. "The Busan crew is pushing back on the territory agreement. They want Itaewon. They can want whatever they like. They're not getting it. They grabbed Minho." Sending a message. Dante's hands tightened on the wheel. Minho was 23, loyal, stupid enough to be brave. "Where?" "Warehouse in Uedo. They're waiting for you." "Of course they are." He checked the time, 2:47 a.m. "Gather the others. I'll be there in 20. The warmth Maya had left in the car evaporated, replaced by the cold calculation that had kept him alive this long. He made a U-turn, heading away from his apartment in Gangnam, toward violence that waited like an old friend. But on the passenger seat, a small puddle of water remained where she'd sat, and for just a moment, Dante wondered what it would be like to be someone else. Someone who could stop for a woman in the rain and mean it. Someone who could offer a jacket without blood on his conscience. The moment passed. It always did. 3 days later, Maya's phone buzzed while she was wrestling with the restaurant's ancient dishwasher. "Unknown number. How's the jacket?" She smiled despite herself, despite the suspicious looks from her coworkers, despite knowing better. "Maya, dry. Unlike me. Just dropped a tray of soup." "Dante, occupational hazard?" "Maya, you could say that." "How's the import-export business?" A pause. She imagined him somewhere expensive, surrounded by things she'd never afford. "Dante, complicated. Are you free tonight?" Her heart stuttered. "Define free." "Dante, dinner. Somewhere that doesn't require you to serve it." "Maya, I finish at 9. "Dante, I'll pick you up." She should say no. Should recognize the danger in his eyes, the way he moved through the world like he owned it, the mystery he wore like a second skin. But she said yes anyway, because sometimes loneliness makes us brave, and sometimes brave is just another word for foolish. He arrived at 8:59, the Mercedes gleaming under streetlights. Maya had changed into her only good dress, simple, blue, modest. She felt underdressed the moment she saw him in a black shirt that probably cost more than her rent. "You look beautiful," Dante said, and meant it. "You clean up nice yourself." He drove them to a quiet restaurant in Samcheong-dong, the kind of place without prices on the menu, where servers spoke in hushed tones and every table felt like a private island. Maya tried not to stare at the art on the walls, the chandeliers that dripped crystal light. "This is too much," she whispered as they were seated by a window overlooking the city. "It's not enough," Dante replied, surprising himself again. When had he become someone who said things like that? They ordered him with easy confidence, her stumbling over French names until he helped, gently, without condescension. The food came in courses, each plate a work of art. "Tell me about Ghana," Dante said between bites of something that melted on his tongue. "I've never been," Maya admitted. "Mom left before I was old enough to remember. Sends money sometimes, calls on my birthday. But she built a new life there, new family. I'm just a memory that visits once a year. And your father? Loves me. Just not enough to fight for me when Mom left. Not enough to stand up to his family when they said I was a mistake." She set down her fork. "Sorry. That's heavy for a first date. Is that what this is? Isn't it?" Dante considered. "I don't date. Haven't in years. Don't have time, don't see the point." "Then what is this?" "I don't know. But I wanted to see you again." The honesty hung between them, fragile and real. Maya leaned forward. "What do you really do, Dante? And don't say import-export." He could lie. Should lie. Instead, he said, "I'm not a good man, Maya. I've done things that would make you run if you knew. Hurt people. Worse. Are you hurting people now?" "I'm trying not to." "Then maybe you're better than you think." God, she was naive. Beautiful and naive, and everything his world would destroy. "What about you?" he asked, redirecting. "What do you dream about? When you're not dropping soup trays?" She smiled. "A cafe. My own place. Half African, half Korean, music, food, art. A place where people like me feel like they belong. Where all the in-between people can find home." Her eyes lit up when she talked, hands gesturing, creating space out of air. "I've been saving for 3 years. Have almost enough for the deposit on a small location in Itaewon." Itaewon. His territory. His responsibility. "That's beautiful," he said. "You'll make it happen." "You sound sure." "I am." "You're strong. Stronger than you know." Their eyes locked, and something shifted. The distance between them felt simultaneously vast and non-existent. Dante reached across the table, covered her hand with his. She didn't pull away. "I like you," Maya said simply. "I don't know why, but I do. Even though you're clearly trouble." "Especially because of that?" "Maybe." She laughed. "I've always had terrible taste in men. But you're different. Dangerous, yes. But gentle too. Like you're trying to remember how to be soft." No one had ever seen him like that. No one had looked past the armor to find the boy underneath, the one who'd held his mother's hand while she died, who'd promised her he'd be someone, become something. He'd kept that promise. Just not in the way she'd hoped. The dinner stretched into hours. They talked about everything and nothing, her favorite music, his childhood in Busan, the way Seoul changed with the seasons, dreams deferred and dreams held tight. The restaurant emptied around them until they were the last ones left, and even the servers looked ready to sleep. "I should get you home," Dante said reluctantly. "Probably." But neither moved. Finally, they stood, and he drove her back to Hongdae, the city sliding past in streaks of neon and shadow. At her building, he walked her to the entrance, rain starting again, light this time, a whisper against skin. "Thank you," Maya said. "For tonight. For seeing me. Thank you for letting me." She stood on tiptoes, kissed his cheek. It burned like a brand. Then she was gone, disappearing into her building, leaving him alone with the rain and the realization that he was completely, hopelessly screwed. Loving this story? Drop a like and let me know in the comments what you think will happen next. The next 3 weeks were a dance. Stolen moments between her shifts and his obligations. Coffee at dawn before she went to work. Late-night drives when he should have been handling business. Text messages that made him smile in the middle of meetings where men discussed territories and violence. She was becoming his world, and worlds could be destroyed. Jaewon noticed first. You're distracted. I'm fine. You missed the meeting with the Incheon contact. You've never missed a meeting. I'll reschedule. Boss, what's going on? Nothing. Drop it. But it wasn't nothing. It was Maya, laughing at his terrible jokes. Maya, falling asleep against his shoulder in the car. Maya, making him want things he'd long ago decided were impossible: normal life, honest work, mornings without fear. He took her to places he'd never shown anyone. His mother's grave in a quiet cemetery outside the city, where he laid flowers and told her about the woman who made him feel human again. An old boxing gym where he learned to fight, where the owner still remembered the skinny kid with bruised knuckles and hungry eyes. The rooftop of his building in Gangnam, where they watched sunrise paint the city gold. This is where you live? Maya asked, taking in the penthouse visible through glass doors. Yes. It's beautiful. And lonely. Not anymore. She turned to him, cupped his face. What are we doing, Dante? Really? I don't know. But I don't want to stop. What if you have to? Then I'll fight like hell to keep you. They kissed there, with the city waking below them, with his carefully constructed life beginning to crack at the seams. And for the first time in 15 years, Dante Kim didn't care about the consequences. But consequences don't need permission to arrive. It happened on a Thursday. Maya's day off. Dante had promised to take her to a museum she'd been wanting to visit, something about African diaspora art. He was running late, stuck in a meeting that wouldn't end, listening to reports about a territorial dispute that needed his attention. We need to make a statement, Jaewon insisted. Show strength. We will. But not today. Boss. I said not today. He left them arguing, drove too fast through traffic, arrived at Maya's building 15 minutes late. She was waiting outside, wearing a yellow dress that made her glow, smile fading when she saw his expression. Everything okay? Yes. Sorry I'm late. Work thing. Must have been important. Not as important as you. They drove toward the museum, but 4 blocks from her apartment, 3 black SUVs appeared, boxing them in. Dante's blood went cold. Stay in the car, he commanded, voice sharp. What's happening? Maya, stay in the car. But she could see what he saw, men emerging from the vehicles, suits hiding weapons, moving with military precision. And at the center, Ji-hoon Park, the Busan crew's leader, smiling like a shark. Dante Kim, Ji-hoon called out. Finally showing your face. Dante stepped out slowly, hands visible, mind calculating angles and odds. He was outgunned, outmanned. Stupid. He'd been stupid, letting his guard down, forgetting that men like him didn't get happy endings. This doesn't concern her, Dante said, gesturing toward the car. Let her go. Ji-hoon peered inside, saw Maya's terrified face. Pretty. Not your usual type. What's special about this one? Let her go. Or what? You're in no position to make demands. Ji-hoon circled the Mercedes like a predator. You've been slipping, Dante. Soft. Missing meetings, ignoring calls. All for what? A woman. Maya's door opened. She stepped out before Dante could stop her. Get back in the car. But she stood there, trembling but defiant, looking at the men surrounding them, at Dante, at the pieces falling into place. Who are these people? She asked quietly. Maya. Who are they, Dante? Ji-hoon laughed. He didn't tell you? Your boyfriend is Dante Kim. Runs half the underworld in Seoul. Gangnam 81. Even pieces of Hongdae, all his. Money laundering, protection rackets, gambling. Should I go on? Maya's face drained of color. No. Maya, I can explain. You're a criminal? Her voice broke. All this time. I was going to tell you. When? After you got me killed. She looked at the guns, the men, the danger that had always been there, invisible until now. Oh my God. Oh my God. We need to leave, Dante said, moving toward her. Right now. But Ji-hoon's men moved faster, weapons drawn. Nobody's leaving. You owe us, Dante. Territory, respect, blood. Your choice how we collect. Time crystallized. Dante saw every option, every outcome. He could fight, maybe take down 3, 4 of them before they got him. But Maya would die. Or he could negotiate by time. But Ji-hoon wanted a war, and wars needed casualties. Or he could give them what they wanted. Let her go, Dante said, raising his hands in surrender. I'll come with you. Peacefully. No fight. But she walks away untouched. Swear it. Boss, don't be stupid. Jae-won's voice crackled through his phone, still connected in his pocket. He'd heard everything. Swear it, Dante repeated. Ji-hoon studied him, surprised. The great Dante Kim, surrendering for a woman. How romantic. Fine. She walks. You come quietly. Dante, no. Maya grabbed his arm. He turned to her, memorized her face. I'm sorry. For lying, for dragging you into this. For not being the man you thought I was. You're that man. You showed me. That was the lie, Maya. He gently pulled free. This is who I really am. From his wrist, he unclasped his watch, a Patek Philippe his mother had saved for years to buy him, before everything went wrong. Before he became this. Take it, he pressed it into her hands. Sell it. Open your cafe. Live the dream. I don't want your watch. I want you. You can't have me. I'm poison. I'll destroy you. 2 of Ji-hoon's men grabbed Dante's arms. He didn't resist. Just looked at Maya one last time. Run, he told her. And don't look back. They dragged him toward the SUVs. Maya stood frozen, watch clutched in shaking hands, tears streaming down her face. Dante. But he didn't turn around. Couldn't. If he saw her cry, he might fight, and if he fought, she'd die. So he let them take him, let them push him into the back of a vehicle, let the door slam shut on the only good thing he'd ever had. Through the tinted window, he watched her collapse to her knees in the street, yellow dress pooling around her like a broken sun. Then the SUV pulled away, and she was gone. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jae-won must have called the police, a desperate move, one that would cost Dante everything but might save his life. Ji-hoon heard them too, cursed. Change of plans. We'll finish this later. He glanced at Dante. Enjoy your last days of freedom, Kim. When we meet again, you'll wish I'd killed you today. They dumped him 2 blocks away, speeding off before the police arrived. Dante stood in the middle of the street, watching red and blue lights approach, knowing what came next. Arrest. Investigation. Everything he'd built crumbling. His phone buzzed. Maya, I hate you. Maya, I hate that you lied. Maya, I hate that I understand why. Maya, I hate that I still. The message cut off. He waited, but nothing more came. Police cars surrounded him. Officers emerged, weapons drawn. Dante Kim, you're under arrest. He raised his hands, let them cuff him, let them read rights he'd heard 100 times. As they pushed him into the back of a squad car, his phone buzzed one last time. Maya, don't you dare die. He smiled despite everything. Even now, even after learning the truth, she cared. She was either the bravest person he'd ever met, or the most foolish. Probably both. The trial took months. Evidence piled up, testimonies, financial records, surveillance footage. Dante's lawyers fought hard, but the prosecution fought harder. In the end, he took a deal. 3 years in exchange for cooperation against Ji-hoon and the Busan crew. Maya came to the sentencing. He saw her in the gallery, wearing blue, holding herself together by force of will. Their eyes met across the courtroom. She didn't smile, didn't cry. Just nodded once, an acknowledgement that they'd both survived this far. The judge pronounced sentence. 3 years in Gimcheon prison. Dante stood, let them lead him away, glanced back once. Maya was gone. Smart girl. Always knew when to leave. Prison was exactly as terrible as expected. But Dante had survived worse. He worked, stayed quiet, avoided trouble. Wrote letters to Maya that he never sent. Heard through Jae-won that she was okay, still working, still saving. 2 years in, Jae-won visited. She did it. Did what? Opened the cafe. Sold your watch. Used the money for the deposit. It's in Itaewon, just like she wanted. Called it halfway home. African and Korean fusion, music, art, coffee. It's beautiful, boss. You'd be proud. Something in Dante's chest cracked. She'd done it. Without him. Better off without him. Good, he said. That's good. She asks about you. Every time I go in. Tell her to stop. Tell her to forget me. I tried. She doesn't listen. Of course she didn't. The final year crawled by. Dante earned early release for good behavior, walked out of Gimchin on a Tuesday morning with nothing but the clothes on his back and a phone number he'd memorized. J1 picked him up. Where to, boss? Dante had thought about this moment for 3 years. About going back to the life, rebuilding his empire, reclaiming what he'd lost. That's what the old Dante would do. But Maya had changed him. Prison had changed him. Somewhere between the lies and the truth, between who he was and who he wanted to be, Dante had found something he thought he'd lost: choice. Itaewon, he said. Halfway home cafe. It was evening, rain starting, of course it was. Some things come full circle. The cafe glowed warm against the gray streets, music drifting out through open doors, Fela Kuti blending with Korean indie, exactly as she'd described. Dante stood across the street for 20 minutes, just watching. Customers came and went, laughing, content. Through the window, he could see her, older now, hair longer, moving with confidence she'd earned. She'd done it. Built her dream from ashes. He should walk away. Let her have this. He was a storm, and she was sunshine, and storms only destroy. But then she looked up, looked through the window, looked directly at him across the rain and traffic and time. Their eyes met. She froze. He didn't move. The world held its breath. Then Maya was out the door, running across the street, not caring about cars or rain or the customers watching. She stopped 3 feet away, chest heaving, eyes searching his face. You came back. I shouldn't have. But you did. Maya. I waited, she said fiercely. 3 years. I waited. Built this place, built a life. Told myself I was doing it for me. But I was doing it for us. There is no us. I'm poison, remember. You're a man who made mistakes. A man who saved me when he didn't have to. A man who sacrificed everything to keep me safe. She stepped closer. You're a man who kept his promise. What promise? To let me live my dream. You gave me that. She gestured at the cafe. Now I'm giving you a choice. Walk away and prove you were right, that you're only capable of destruction. Or come inside and prove that people can change. Rain fell harder, soaking them both. Dante looked at her, at the cafe, at the life she'd built. At the chance she was offering. I don't deserve this. Probably not. But I'm giving it to you anyway. Why? Maya smiled, took his hand. Because some love stories grow in silence. And I've been silent long enough. She pulled him toward the cafe, toward warmth and light and possibility. At the door, Dante hesitated one last time. I'm not the same man. Good. I'm not the same woman. We'll figure out who we are together. Inside, the cafe smelled like coffee and hope. Customers glanced up, went back to their conversations. Normal. Easy. Everything he'd never had. Maya led him to a corner table, sat across from him. So, 3 years. Start talking. And he did. Told her everything, the fear, the loneliness, the slow realization that he wanted to be better. Wanted to deserve her. She listened, held his hands across the table, didn't flinch at the hard parts. When he finished, she said, I'm not saying it'll be easy. You've got history, enemies, a reputation. I know. And I've got a business to run, dreams to chase. I won't give those up. I wouldn't ask you to. But if you're serious about changing, about being with me, then we'll find a way. One day at a time. Dante lifted her hand, kissed her knuckles. One day at a time. They sat there as rain drummed against windows, as the city moved around them, as customers ordered coffee and shared stories. Just 2 people, halfway home, finding their way through the storm together. I love you, Dante said, the words foreign and true. Maya's eyes shimmered. I know. I've known since that first night, when you stopped for a stranger in the rain. Best decision I ever made. Second best, she corrected. The best was walking through my door tonight. They stayed until closing, talking and planning and dreaming. When the last customer left, Maya locked the door, turned to him. So, you need a job. He laughed, actually laughed. Are you offering? Cafe manager. Pays terribly. Benefits include free coffee and spending every day with me. I'll take it. She kissed him then, soft and sure, a promise and a beginning. Outside, the rain stopped. Stars emerged. The city sparkled. Love had found them in the rain. And now, finally, it was giving them the chance to begin again. If this story touched your heart, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what you felt. Your support means everything, and there are more stories coming that you won't want to miss. Thank you for being here.